24 Stoic Tips to Improve Your Personality and Confidence. Picture Marcus Aurelius, 28 years old, boots still damp from the Danube River, scratching into a wax tablet by lantern light at 3 a.m. Today the world is my training ground, and I am both student and coach. The ink has vanished, but the insight lives on. Confidence, he reminded himself, isn't something gifted by luck. It's built choice by choice, habit by habit. And that's our starting line. Because confidence isn't lightning that strikes you once and crowns you for life. It's a muscle you train. Personality isn't fixed either. It's sculpted, day after day, by the way you stand, the words you choose, and the mindset you carry into every room. Too often, we wait for confidence to arrive like a package on the doorstep. We tell ourselves, when I look better, when I earn more, when people finally notice me, then I'll feel confident. But Stoicism flips that script. It teaches, don't wait. Act like the person you want to become, and soon enough, the mirror will agree. Section 1. The Dichotomy of Control. Stoicism begins with two buckets. Imagine them sitting on your desk. Bucket 1, your reactions, your choices, your words. Bucket 2, traffic, weather, your boss's mood, the economy. Most of us carry the wrong bucket all day, lugging around other people's baggage, gripping outcomes we can't possibly steer. No wonder it feels heavy. Here's the Stoic switch. Every morning, ask yourself one simple question: is this mine to steer? If the answer is yes, roll up your sleeves and own it. If the answer is no, put it down like a hot pan. That small mental move reclaims hours of energy you didn't even know you were leaking. Think about your last stress spiral, the late train, the delayed email reply, the sideways glance in a meeting. None of those were yours to control, yet they taxed your nervous system as if your entire future depended on them. Modern science agrees with the ancients. Stanford researchers found that people who practiced this simple daily filter dropped their cortisol, the stress hormone, by 17% in just 3 weeks. Less drama, more bandwidth. Here's your drill. Tomorrow morning, grab a sticky note and draw 2 quick columns. On the left, mine. On the right, not mine. Throughout the day, sort every frustration into one side. By evening, you'll see the truth in ink. Most of what rattles you never belonged in your bucket at all. Confidence begins here, because the person who knows what's theirs to command walks lighter, speaks steadier, and isn't hijacked by every gust of wind. In this video, we'll walk through 12 timeless Stoic tips, practical, powerful, and tested over centuries, that will not only sharpen your personality, but also give you a confidence that doesn't break when life applies pressure. So here's the promise. By the end, you won't just know how to look confident. You'll know how to be confident, rooted, steady, and undeniable. Let's begin. Section 2. Amor Fati. Love the outcome before it happens. Picture this: you walk out of a job interview. The panel smiled, nodded, shook your hand, and then they said the dreaded line, "We'll be in touch." This nodding is smellily the tation of fern. Old pattern. You replay every word you spoke, convince yourself you blew it, and let the waiting eat you alive. Stoic pattern. Smile as if the offer already arrived. Not because you're delusional, but because you've decided in advance. Whatever comes, you'll use it. That's Amor Fati, love of fate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it." Translation: good news, bad news, no news, it's all fuel. Here's how you practice it. Daily anchor. Stick a note on your bathroom mirror that reads, "This is fuel." Say it out loud once a day, even if it feels cheesy. Over time, the brain starts believing it. In real time, your barista spells your name, Kyle, again. Instead of sighing, laugh. Make it an inside joke with yourself. Fuel. Bigger stage. That project, pitch flops. Write down 3 ways the failure teaches you what success can't. Boom. Fuel. This isn't toxic positivity, it's strategic resilience. You're training your nervous system to stop labeling outcomes as catastrophes and start treating them as curriculum. After a month of practicing Amor Fati, you'll notice something strange. You stop fearing outcomes because you've already pre-decided to welcome them. That shift alone makes you magnetic. People trust the calm one in the storm. Confidence isn't pretending every card you draw is an ace. It's smiling at the deck and saying, whatever comes up, I'll play it well. Section 3. Morning stillness. Imagine this. The alarm goes off, and before your feet even hit the floor, your phone hijacks your mind. Notifications, news alerts, a to-do list screaming louder than the alarm. Now pause. What if you gave yourself just 60 seconds before the chaos stormed in? That's the Stoic move, morning stillness. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, keep this thought in mind. I am rising to do the work of a human being." Here's how you try it tomorrow. Sit up in bed, feet on the floor, no scrolling. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6. That's 1 cycle. Do it 10 times. Let the mind wander. Don't force silence. Just notice the noise and breathe under it. You've just told your nervous system, calm is the default setting. Elite soldiers do this before missions. Monks do this before prayers. Roman emperors did this before running empires. You can do this before a staff meeting. 1 minute might feel pointless, but here's what studies show. After just 2 weeks of morning breath practice, cortisol, the stress hormone, drops by measurable levels. Less cortisol means clearer thinking, steadier emotions, and more confidence in the room. Start with 1 minute. Let it grow into 3, then 5. Soon, the phone isn't steering your day, you are. Morning stillness isn't about emptying your mind. It's about claiming ownership before the world places bids on your attention. Section 4. Dress like you matter. Epictetus once said, "Know who you are, then dress accordingly." He wasn't talking about designer brands or chasing the latest trend. He was pointing to something deeper. Your clothes are a signal not to others first, but to yourself. Think about it. Ever notice how different you feel when you put on a clean, fitted shirt compared to that old hoodie with the salsa stain? One whispers, "I'm here, I'm present, I matter." The other mumbles, "I gave up before breakfast." You don't need a tuxedo to buy milk, but you do need intention. Shoes that are clean, not falling apart. A watch that works, even if it's simple. A tucked hem or a crisp collar. These small details don't scream, "Look at me." They whisper, "I respect myself." And here's the kicker. Yale researchers found that tiny wardrobe upgrades boosted confidence levels by 21%. Why? Because when you look in the mirror and see someone put together, your brain believes it and you act accordingly. So tomorrow, don't overhaul your closet. Just choose one upgrade. Maybe polish your shoes. Maybe ditch the faded t-shirt for something with a collar. Each choice is a quiet vote for the person you're becoming. Clothes aren't vanity. They're visual affirmations. When you dress like you matter, you start moving like you matter, and others can't help but notice. Section 5. Speak first, speak last. Most of the social anxiety you feel doesn't come from other people. It comes from the echo chamber in your own head. You know the script. Don't say anything, you'll sound dumb. Wait until someone else breaks the ice. Just nod, smile, and escape when you can. But here's the paradox. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce the fear. Silence becomes the habit. The Stoic antidote: practice courage in microdoses. Start with this simple rule: be the first to greet or the last to leave a kind word. Elevator? Make eye contact, nod, say, "Hey, how's it going?" Work meeting? When everyone's packing up, be the one to say, "Thanks, that was helpful." Family dinner? Before leaving, look someone in the eye and say, "I really appreciated your story tonight." It doesn't have to be witty, deep, or polished. It just has to be yours. And here's the magic: when you go first, you break the tension not just for yourself, but for everyone in the room. And when you end on kindness, you leave a final impression that lingers far longer than small talk. If your throat locks up, try this. Slow down your smile. Literally. When you soften your face, your body follows, and words find their way out more easily. Remember, confidence isn't built in TED Talks or boardrooms. It's built in these tiny, everyday reps. Greet first, leave last. Each time you do, you prove to yourself, "I belong here." Section 6. Eye contact arithmetic. Confidence doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's measured in seconds, literally. Here's the stat. The average person holds eye contact for 3.2 seconds before darting away. That's just long enough to register, but not long enough to connect. Now, imagine stretching that to 4.5 seconds. It sounds tiny, but in practice, the whole room shifts. You suddenly feel present, steady, unshakable. Think of it this way. Eye contact is the Wi-Fi signal of confidence. Too weak, and people can't connect. Too strong, like a 10-second stare down, and it gets creepy. The sweet spot? That extra heartbeat beyond what most people give. Here's the drill. Next conversation. Pick one simple detail to notice about the other person, the exact color of their eyes, or the flex in their iris. That small observation anchors your gaze without forcing it. Marcus Aurelius practiced this with his soldiers, using his calm presence to reassure entire legions before battle. You don't need a battlefield. You can practice with your FedEx driver, the barista, or the cashier at the grocery store. Confidence isn't about being louder, it's about being here. And steady eye contact is the fastest, quietest way to prove, "I am here with you, fully." Section 7. The gratitude recalibration. Here's the thing about confidence. It doesn't grow in the mirror. It grows in your brain chemistry. Gratitude isn't just a nice bedtime ritual. It literally rewires the hardware upstairs. Harvard scans showed that people who practiced daily gratitude had thicker gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles planning, focus, and emotional control. Translation: gratitude makes you sharper, calmer, and harder to shake. The Stoics knew this long before the fMRI machine. Seneca ended his nights with questions like, "What good did I do today? Where did I resist a failing?" He wasn't trying to win a gold star. He was training his mind to see progress instead of only problems. Here's your drill. Every night, jot down 3 things that worked today. Small counts. Train came on time. You picked water over soda. A stranger held the door. At first, it feels silly, almost too easy. But stick with it. After 8 weeks, you start noticing wins as they happen, like your brain switched lenses. The critic's voice turns down, and the coach's voice turns up. Confidence isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about noticing what you already have. Gratitude is that recalibration. It doesn't just brighten the day, it thickens your armor for tomorrow. Section 8. Practice negative visualization. Most of us try to avoid thinking about worst-case scenarios. The Stoics? They scheduled it. Seneca called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. His logic was simple. Imagine losing what you love for 2 minutes, and the real thing loses its power to paralyze you. Here's how it works. Once a week, sit down somewhere quiet, close your eyes and picture your job, your health, even your Wi-Fi gone. Let the sting rise. Your chest might tighten, your stomach might clench. Stay with it. Then, open your eyes. Look around. Job still here, health intact, Wi-Fi humming. Relief floods in, and gratitude comes alive, not as a Hallmark card, but as survival instinct. Why does this build confidence? Because it shrinks the gap between expectation and reality. If you've already rehearsed loss, then actual setbacks feel less like tragedies and more like speed bumps. Practical drill. Set a 2-minute timer once a week. Imagine the worst, then write 1 line about how you'd respond. Keep those notes. Over time, you'll see the same sentence appear. I can handle it. That's not doom scrolling, it's emotional weight training, and every rep makes you harder to knock over. Section 9. Speak less, say more. Zeno, the original founder of Stoicism, taught that silence itself is eloquence. In other words, restraint carries weight. Think about the last time someone paused before answering you. That silence probably made their words feel heavier, more intentional. Now imagine if you used that same pause in your own conversations. Here's the trick. In your next conversation, wait 3 seconds before replying. It'll feel like forever to you, but to the other person, it signals thoughtfulness, presence, and confidence. Most people fill space with noise, like, you know. Confidence is built in the quiet. That pause buys you time to choose a response instead of blurting a reflex. Pro tip: record a casual call or a mock conversation with a friend. Count how many filler words you use. Then, in your next talk, patch the leaks with intentional pauses. It's like editing a sentence: less fluff, more impact. Over time, people will lean in when you speak. Not because you're louder, but because you've trained yourself to let silence do half the talking. Section 10. The physical anchor. Epictetus once said, "A free man walks even in chains." What he meant is that freedom often begins with how you carry yourself, even before you say a word. Posture is one of the fastest signals of confidence. When you walk into a room with your shoulders back, chin level, and hips stacked under your ribs, your nervous system actually believes you're safe and in charge. This isn't just body language, it's neuroscience. Straight posture tells the vagus nerve to calm the heart and steady the breath. Try this. Each morning, stand against a wall, arms bent like goalposts, back flat. Slowly slide your arms upward, then back down. 30 seconds of this wall angel resets your alignment. Throughout the day, check in with yourself. Am I shrinking, or am I standing as if I belong here? Your body trains your mind. When you anchor in strong posture, your confidence doesn't just show, it grows. So, next time you walk into a meeting, a date, or even just a grocery store, remember, you don't need to say a word. Your presence already spoke for you. Section 11. The 3-question filter. Before every action, pause just long enough to ask 3 questions. 1. Is this mine to control? 2. Does this align with my values? 3. Will this matter in 5 years? If the answer to any of these is no, step back, pivot, refocus. Here's why this works. Most of our daily stress comes from chasing things that don't belong to us. Other people's moods, quick wins, or arguments that die in a week. The Stoics knew that wisdom was less about doing more and more about choosing well. Practical drill. Keep a sticky note in your wallet, your phone case, or even on your laptop lid with these 3 questions. They weigh nothing, but they save everything. Test it once today, maybe before firing off that defensive email. before saying yes to a project you secretly resent, or before reacting to a snide comment. One pause, 3 questions, and you've already shifted from impulse to integrity. Over time, this filter doesn't just stop mistakes, it builds a reputation. People start to notice that you don't react the way everyone else does. You respond with clarity, not chaos. And that's what confidence really feels like. Section 12. Evening Review. Marcus Aurelius ended his days not with wine-soaked banquets, but with a pen. He would sit down and write to himself, almost like leaving breadcrumbs for the man he wanted to be tomorrow. Here's the Stoic version of a nightly review. 5 minutes. Pen and paper. Yes, paper. 2 simple prompts. 1. Where did I act with virtue today? 2. Where did I simply react? Keep it bullet point only, no long novels. The key is honesty, not performance. Example: virtue. Listened fully in the meeting, instead of scrolling. Reacted, snapped at my roommate when I was tired. Done. That's it. Here's why this matters. Your brain is a pattern machine. If you don't pause to trace those patterns, you'll keep walking the same circles. But if you notice, connect the dots, and write them down, tomorrow you're already a step sharper. Think of it like running your own private coaching session every single night for free. Do this for 2 weeks straight, and you'll notice something wild. The same reactions start showing up again and again. Once you spot them, you can't unsee them, and the moment you see the loop, you finally have the power to break it. That's not just self-awareness, it's self-mastery, and it starts with 5 quiet minutes at the end of your day. Section 13. Social reps. Confidence isn't a lightning bolt, it's a muscle, and like any muscle, it only grows through reps. Think of social confidence like hitting the gym. If you only ever lift a weight once a month, you're not building strength. Same with conversations, you need steady practice. Here's the Stoic drill. Set yourself a weekly quota. 3 low-stakes conversations. Could be the cashier, your neighbor, or the person in line behind you. 1 solo event. Coffee shop, museum, even a walk, something where you show up as your own company. 1 thoughtful question. Ask someone something real, not just, how's it going? Something that makes them pause and actually think. Yes, it will feel awkward. Good. That discomfort is the lactic acid of growth, the burn that proves the muscle is working. Track your reps. Write them on a sticky note or a calendar. Numbers don't lie. When you see the tally building up, you'll realize that confidence isn't about waiting until you feel ready. It's about proving readiness with repetition. In time, you won't just survive conversations, you'll start enjoying them. Social reps aren't about becoming the loudest person in the room. They're about building quiet proof that you belong anywhere you walk into. Section 14. The language swap. Words aren't just sounds, they're steering wheels. Every sentence you whisper to yourself nudges your mind in a direction. Most of us don't even notice when we're driving straight into a ditch. Catch the difference? I'm terrible at small talk. That's a verdict. It locks the door. I'm practicing small talk. That's a process. It leaves the door wide open. Or this one, I always fold under pressure. Past tense nailed to your forehead. I've folded before next hands knew. That's a learner's voice. That's resilience. The Stoics knew the mind listens closely to its own narration. Marcus Aurelius filled his journals with phrases like, "This is bearable," and "This too belongs to nature." He wasn't sugarcoating, he was programming. Your task. Spend 1 day listening to your own script. Anytime you catch a sentence that slams the door, swap it for a sentence that cracks it open. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be believable. The brain won't buy, "I'm a world-class speaker," if you're still sweating through a 10-second intro. But it will buy, I'm practicing being calmer in conversations. Do this enough times, and your language starts laying bricks for a sturdier self-image. Remember, the critic inside you may be loud, but the narrator is stronger, and you hold the pen. Section 15. The forgiveness reflex. Confidence isn't built by pretending you never mess up. It's built by learning how fast you reset after you do. Think about it. Dragging yesterday's mistakes into today's meeting is like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of bricks. Every stumble gets replayed, magnified, and carried forward. No wonder your energy tanks. The Stoics practiced something different. They believed that every error was simply tuition, a fee paid for wisdom. Seneca once wrote, "Every misfortune is a lesson." Here's a simple drill, the 2-minute reset. 1. Stand up. 2. Take one slow, exhale 6 counts out. 3. Say quietly, "That version of me had yesterday's tools." 4. Sit back down. Case closed. You're not erasing the mistake, you're placing it in the right folder. History, not destiny. When you build the forgiveness reflex, you become lighter. People notice it too. They trust the person who can own an error without drowning in it. They trust the leader who can say, "That's on me, and here's how I'll fix it," without spiraling into shame. Forgive quickly, adjust wisely, and move forward. That reflex turns confidence into momentum, and momentum is what builds unshakable character. Section 16. Value-based scheduling. Most calendars track tasks, meetings, deadlines, errands. It's all there in black and white. But here's the problem. A packed schedule isn't the same as a purposeful life. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Don't waste the rest of your time being carried away by imagination, by selfish motives, by what happens to you, or by the knotted strings of fate." Translation: being busy doesn't mean you're living well. Here's a shift. Instead of scheduling tasks, schedule virtues. Monday, courage. Tuesday, self-control. Wednesday, justice. Thursday, wisdom. When the alert dings, don't just check what's next on the list. Ask, does this next action match the virtue I'm practicing today? Example, it's Tuesday, the day of self-control. You're about to scroll social media for just 5 minutes. Pause. Does this match today's focus? Probably not. Redirect. Or maybe it's Monday, courage day, and you've got a tough conversation you've been dodging. The reminder nudges you, this is the moment to step up. This isn't about throwing away your calendar. It's about layering purpose onto it. Tasks get done, virtues get built. And here's the kicker, when people meet you, they don't remember your to-do list. They remember your character. Busy is loud. Virtue-driven busy is magnetic. It's the kind of presence that makes people lean in, listen closer, and trust deeper. Section 17. The anchor phrase. Life throws curveballs, traffic jams, rude comments, bad news in the inbox. In those moments, your brain scrambles for control, and usually it grabs panic. The Stoics solved this with something simple but powerful, an anchor phrase. Marcus Aurelius had his, "The obstacle is the way." Epictetus told himself, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." These weren't Instagram captions, they were shields in the middle of chaos. Your job? Craft one that fits your life. Short, steady, repeatable. Something that snaps you back to center when the storm hits. Examples: I choose my response. Calm is my strength. This too is training. Here's how to use it. Whisper it in traffic when the horns are blaring. Repeat it before you walk into a tense meeting. Write it on a sticky note and tape it to your laptop. Every repetition is like laying a brick. Eventually, you've built a fortress. The point isn't magic words. The point is that the phrase reminds your body, we're in charge here. Not the critic, not the chaos, not the noise. Think of it as a cognitive handbrake. When the car of your emotions starts rolling downhill, one line can stop the slide. Practice it, and people will start to notice something different about you. They'll see calm where they expected a reaction, and that calm is confidence in its purest form. Section 18. The humility ratio. Confidence without humility turns sour fast. It stops looking like strength and starts looking like arrogance, and people can smell it from a mile away. The Stoics knew this, which is why Marcus Aurelius kept reminding himself, don't waste the rest of your life impressing others. Here's a simple rule to keep your confidence magnetic instead of repelling. The 3:1 humility ratio. For every time you mention yourself, give 3 shout-outs to others. Instead of, look what I accomplished, try, the team crushed this project. She gave me an idea that made the work 10 times better. He handled that problem like a pro. What happens? You still get noticed because people can see your fingerprints on the work, but you also build trust. People feel safe around you instead of feeling like you're competing with them. Practical drill. Next week, track your conversations. For every self-reference, did you give 3 genuine acknowledgements to others? If not, adjust. It's like strength training. Every rep builds relational muscle. The magic is this. Humility doesn't shrink your confidence, it expands it. Because when people know you can win and still give credit generously, they'll follow you anywhere. True leaders aren't the loudest in the room, they're the ones who lift others while standing tall themselves. Section 18. The humility ratio. Confidence without humility turns sour fast. It stops looking like strength and starts looking like arrogance, and people can smell it from a mile away. The Stoics knew this, which is why Marcus Aurelius kept reminding himself, don't waste the rest of your life impressing others. Here's a simple rule to keep your confidence magnetic instead of repelling. The 3:1 humility ratio. For every time you mention yourself, give 3 shout-outs to others. Instead of, look what I accomplished, try, the team crushed this project. She gave me an idea that made the work 10 times better. He handled that problem like a pro. What happens? You still get noticed because people can see your fingerprints on the work, but you also build trust. People feel safe around you instead of feeling like you're competing with them. Practical drill. Next week, track your conversations. For every self-reference, did you give 3 genuine acknowledgements to others? If not, adjust. It's like strength training. Every rep builds relational muscle. The magic is this. Humility doesn't shrink your confidence, it expands it. Because when people know you can win and still give credit generously, they'll follow you anywhere. True leaders aren't the loudest in the room, they're the ones who lift others while standing tall themselves. Section 19. Controlled exposure. Courage isn't built in theory, it's built in exposure. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort not to punish themselves, but to strengthen their ability to stand steady when the world wobbled. Think of fear as a ladder. You don't jump from the ground to the roof. You climb rung by rung. Same with confidence. Practical drill. Rung 1. If public speaking terrifies you, start small. Read the dinner menu out loud at family night. 0 stakes, but your voice gets a rep. Rung 2. Next week, speak up in a meeting with 1 thoughtful sentence, not a speech. Rung 3. A month later, sign up for an open mic or deliver a toast at a friend's party. Each exposure teaches your nervous system, I survived this. I can handle more. Over time, the thing that used to feel like a cliff becomes a staircase. Here's the key. Don't wait to feel ready. The brain rewires through reps, not pep talks. Confidence is not the absence of nerves, it's proof you've stood in the fire enough times to know it won't consume you. Every tiny act of controlled exposure is another brick in your unshakable foundation. And brick by brick, the person you thought you were afraid to become starts showing up every day. Section 20. The Energy Audit. Confidence isn't just a mindset, it's a power supply, and like any battery, if you're drained, you can't run the system, no matter how sharp your philosophy is. The Stoics were warriors, leaders, and teachers, but they also understood energy as the raw material of virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to protect the ruling center of his mind. Translation: protect the energy source. Here's your audit. For 1 week, track 3 things. 1. Sleep. How many hours did you actually get? Not in bed, but real rest. 2. Fuel. Did your meals leave you stable, or were you crashing 2 hours later? 3. Movement. Did you sweat, stretch, or even walk enough to tell your body it's alive? At the end of the week, look at the patterns. Which days did you feel bulletproof, and which days did you fold like a lawn chair? 9 times out of 10, it isn't your talent or confidence failing, it's your energy reserves. Practical step. Guard your energy like gold. Protect your sleep routine as fiercely as you protect your paycheck. Eat for stamina, not just cravings. Move your body daily, even if it's 10 minutes. Because here's the truth. Willpower is a myth if your energy is bankrupt. Confidence runs on calories, water, and rest. Refill the tank, and you'll find your personality sharper, your patience longer, and your presence magnetic. A disciplined mind is powerful, but only if the body beneath it is charged and ready to carry it through the day. Section 21. Mentor Visualization. Sometimes confidence isn't about inventing strength, it's about borrowing it until it becomes your own. The Stoics did this constantly. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, leaned on the wisdom of Epictetus, a former slave. Seneca leaned on Socrates. They created inner mentors, voices they could call on in the hardest moments. Here's the exercise. Pick your mentor. It could be Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, or even a modern figure whose steadiness inspires you. Picture them sitting at your kitchen table, sipping coffee in their toga or suit, listening as you lay out the problem. Now ask, what would they tell me right now? Imagine Marcus raising an eyebrow and saying, "Is this within your control?" Picture Seneca asking, "Is this pain a punishment or tuition?" See Epictetus smile and say, "You're disturbed not by events, but by your judgments about them." It may feel silly at first, but your brain doesn't know the difference between an imaginary conversation and a real one. This mental rehearsal recruits ancient wisdom in real time. Practical step. Before any tough decision, whether it's sending the risky email, walking into a high-stakes meeting, or choosing to stay quiet in an argument, pause for 60 seconds. Ask your chosen mentor for advice. Then act as if you're carrying out their counsel. Over time, you'll find that you no longer need to imagine their voice. Their wisdom becomes your instinct. And when your instincts are shaped by giants, your confidence no longer feels like bravado, it feels like borrowed steel, reforged inside you. Section 22. The 5-second rule. Here's a universal truth. Hesitation is the thief of confidence. You've felt it. The moment you think of raising your hand, introducing yourself, or sending that message, and then your brain floods with excuses. In 3 seconds, the window slams shut. Enter the 5-second rule, popularized by Mel Robbins. Count backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then move. Don't give your inner critic the space to negotiate. Now add the Stoic upgrade. On 1, Whisper to yourself, right action, right now. This phrase anchors you to what's virtuous, not what's comfortable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, at dawn, when you can't get out of bed, remember, you were made for work. The countdown simply gives you the push, practical ways to use it. Morning resistance. Alarm goes off. Instead of snoozing, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit up, feet on the floor. That's a win before sunrise. Courage gap. About to speak in a meeting, heart racing, count down, then say the first sentence. After that, momentum carries you. Difficult task. Procrastinating on the email, the workout, the call, countdown. Then move your body before the critic catches up. Each time you use the rule, you cast a vote for the identity of someone who acts instead of dithers. And confidence, remember, is nothing more than the accumulation of these votes. Do this for a week, and you'll notice something shocking. The hesitation that used to last forever shrinks into nothing. Your brain learns that when you count, you commit. And commitment is the birthplace of trust in yourself. Section 23. The Compliment Bank. Here's the problem. Your inner critic is loud, relentless, and has a memory like an elephant. It catalogues every mistake, every awkward pause, every failure, and replays them on loop. Meanwhile, the compliments, they vanish in seconds, like water on hot pavement. The Stoic fix. Build yourself a compliment bank. Here's how. Every time someone gives you a genuine compliment about your work, your kindness, your presence, write it down on an index card or a sticky note. Drop it in a jar or a shoebox. Don't judge whether it's big enough. If someone said, "I like how you explained that," it qualifies. Why does this work? Because the critic inside you is working with evidence. It throws courtroom exhibits at you. Remember the time you failed, Exhibit A. Remember when you stuttered, Exhibit B. You need counter-evidence. The compliment bank balances the trial. Practical drill. On rough days, when your confidence feels paper-thin, pull out 3 random compliments from the jar and read them aloud. Let them remind you that people have already seen value in you, even when you couldn't. Over time, the critic has to sit down. The evidence is stacked too high against it. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction." The same goes for your confidence. It can't shine without proof. And compliments are that proof. They're receipts from the outside world that you are already showing up with value. Every card you write is not just a memory, it's an investment. One day, when the critic screams, you'll open that jar, cash in the deposits, and realize you've been richer than you thought all along. Section 24. The Detachment Drill. Here's a quiet truth the Stoics lived by. When your self-worth depends on applause, you'll always be on stage and always exhausted. Detachment isn't about quitting life. It's about reclaiming your energy from constant performance. Try this once a day. Do something for 0 likes. Walk your dog without snapping a picture. Cook a meal without posting it. Write 2 pages you never intend to share. At first, the silence feels awkward, almost like you've wasted the effort. But that's the point. You're training the muscle of intrinsic value. You're saying, this was worth doing even if nobody clapped. Epictetus reminded his students, seek not that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do. When you practice detachment, you stop craving outside validation and start anchoring inside. Do it for a week and notice the shift. You'll laugh more freely, create with less pressure, and carry yourself lighter. Because you're no longer a performer scrambling for a stage, you're a craftsman shaping something real. Section 25. The Reflection Loop. Most people live in forward-only mode, eyes on the next deadline, the next paycheck, the next distraction. But the Stoics treated reflection as a superpower. the ability to step out of the river of time and watch the current from above. Here's the drill. Once a month, gift yourself 90 quiet minutes. No phone, no playlist, no notifications, just you, a pen, and paper. Write down 3 questions and answer them honestly, no censor, no performance. 1. What did I fear that never actually happened? This shrinks the monsters in your head back down to their real size. 2. Where did my actions actually match my values? This reminds you that progress isn't measured in applause, but in integrity. 3. What single habit do I want to double down on next month? Not 5, not 10, just 1. That's how momentum compounds. When you finish, fold the paper, seal it in an envelope, and date it 1 year ahead. Tuck it in a drawer. Here's the magic. When future you opens that envelope, you'll see proof that you were growing all along, even on the days you swore you were stuck. It's like a time-lapse of your own resilience. Marcus Aurelius called this practice writing to the soul. Today, we'd call it the cheapest, most powerful form of self-coaching you'll ever find. Conclusion. Confidence isn't lightning. It doesn't strike out of nowhere. It's a wall you build, brick by brick, choice by choice. Each Stoic tip you've just heard is a single brick. The way you breathe in the morning, the way you walk into a room, the way you let go of yesterday before bed. Alone, they feel small. Stacked over weeks and months, they form something unshakable, a personality that commands respect, and a confidence that doesn't rattle when life does. So, here's your challenge. Grab just 2 tips from this list and test them for the next 7 days. If they work, keep them. If they don't, swap them out. You're not aiming for perfection, you're aiming for practice. Because iteration beats inspiration every single time. And remember this, the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you, the version of you who practiced when no one was watching. If one of these tips hit home, comment below with the word brick, as in 1 brick you're adding to your wall this week. I'll be reading, and I want to see which piece of this Stoic toolkit you're taking with you. Subscribe if you want next week's guide on turning obstacles into fuel, because when you see setbacks through a Stoic lens, they stop being roadblocks and start becoming raw material. Until then, stand tall, breathe steady, and remember, your personality is not a sentence, it's a project, and you are the architect.